I think this is my first video at home, and I just set up my favorite software to record live, and I realized I did not check my sound levels. I think they're okay. I just have to, actually I feel like they're a little high. Hold on. How's that? That's probably better. Sorry. I know in the past that before I've adjusted the levels that they've been really loud. So hopefully that didn't bother you too much. I've been feeling all over the place today, and I think part of it is caffeine. It's really interesting because I've been drinking coffee for pretty consistently for months now, definitely for the past 2 months. And sometimes I have it and feel really awful. And even if it's like really good, like I brewed my own cold brew. I think it's an organic, almost positive it's an organic one. And I had it and I just felt like really nauseous and weird. And I also need to check one more thing to make sure everything is functioning properly. Hold on. Yes, okay, cool. So anyways, I feel like when I have coffee, I really love the experience of it, but sometimes it just doesn't make me feel good, and I'm feeling very conflicted. I feel like maybe the best choice for me would be to start to wean myself off of it. It's so interesting. If anyone else has had like a really strong relationship with coffee, you can relate to this. And it's so new for me. And I feel like I've said this so many times, but it keeps coming up in my head. And I think it has something to do with how I've been feeling today. I just was noticing my brain like switch back and forth really quickly between different emotions. And I had like a moment where I'm like, I want to make a video. And then within like seconds or maybe a minute, I felt like, oh no, I don't want to make a video. And I felt really insecure about it. And then I was like, well, maybe I do want to record. It was like this back and forth for like the past half an hour. It was really weird. And I just thought, I'm just going to make a video and let go of the fact that I have some resistance to it. And I don't know if it's not really like coffee is to blame. It's just that I think coffee like enhances it, and it gives me like all of these intense different emotions. So anyways, I am not fully sure what I want to say. I just thought it'd be good for me to push past resistance and get on camera and say hello and test out the software on my new computer, which has been so incredible. I've been noticing a lot lately that just like my insecurities coming up with making content, and it's really a bummer. It's something that I'm trying to push myself through as quickly as possible. And I've been noticing a lot of things, a lot of feelings of not doing enough, and I think that's probably the major part of it, is just feeling like I'm not doing enough and not good enough, and my content's not good. And I had a really good word for that yesterday. I can't remember what it was, but it was like feeling like just way too concerned with numbers. And I've actually been really reflecting on that lately, how much numbers I feel like as a content creator are something that most content creators pay attention to, right? And it's been turned into this huge measure of our self-worth, of whether, and by the way, if anyone's listening, speaking of insecurity, I'd love to feedback. I know at least a few people are watching right now live, and I would love feedback to make sure my audio is okay. I always get very concerned about my audio because I can see myself, so I know my video is okay, but like I can see the levels on my mic, but sometimes they're not fully accurate, and that always makes me a little nervous. So I've been playing around with it because I'm recording a new podcast and using this microphone. That is one thing I'm really excited, not to completely switch gears for a second. Jason and I, who are doing our podcast together, recorded 2 episodes last week, and we're recording again next week, a week from today, and just creating a bunch of really great content. And then we'll be working on our plan for launching. So I think that that's going to happen in the new year, because we want to really take our time with it and get everything sorted out. We don't want to rush it. So I was hoping that we are going to launch sometime this month in October, but I think it's going to be a few months from now. So stay tuned. And again, if you're watching, it's so interesting to me, like, who are you that's watching right now and not commenting? It's such an odd thing to know that people are watching you but have no idea who they are, and then they don't comment, and you're just like, who are these people? It's fascinating. It's doing live video is like super fascinating. Okay, going back to what I was saying is just noticing how influenced I am by numbers and how much I've been basing my worth as a content creator on numbers. Saying that out loud even is so interesting, because it just makes me feel like I've been living in this weird headspace that is not healthy and not serving me. But I think I've stayed in that headspace because so many other people are in it, you know? It's just like the norm to be concerned with numbers. You know, we are concerned with how old we are and how old other people are. We're concerned with how many followers we have, subscribers, likes, comments, whatever number, metric. We are concerned with how many newsletter subscribers and how many people visit your website. And I am just like so, I guess, I feel like it's just gotten in my way more than it's helped me, you know? And I'm starting to wonder, what would it be like to operate from a place of less concern for how many people are consuming my content and following me? And one thing I've been thinking a lot about lately is, well, you know, I've been wanting to switch my brand from Eco Vegan Gal to Whitney Lauritsen, my full name. I have my domain. Currently, if you go to ecovegangal.com, it redirects you to whitneylauritsen.com and has like a temporary page, because sometime soon, I hope, I'll be redoing my website. And I just can't stand my old website. It drives me crazy. So sending traffic to that old website, I'm like, this is so uncomfortable. So I've been redirecting it all to whitneylauritsen.com, where I like made it look more presentable and summarize me. And part of the reason I did that was because this one person had emailed me, and I could just tell from her email that she was basing all of her information about me and my work on my old website, which I hadn't really updated. And I thought, this does not reflect who I am and what I do. And so I feel better about where it's at right now with the temporary site and just like a better summary of me. Man, it is so much work. One thing I've been thinking a lot about too is just simplifying. Like just saying that word out loud, simplifying. And again, that now there are more people watching. Can one of you please give me feedback on the audio? I just want to the worst is when I record like a long video and then I see in the comments afterwards that my audio wasn't good, and I was like, why didn't anyone mention that to me when I was live? And I sometimes wonder, is the audio different when you're watching live versus the recording? I don't think so, but I don't know why else like nobody would give feedback on it. So, and if you're trying to comment and it's not working properly, that's also a possibility. I'm going to go over here for a second because that's driving me nuts. And yeah, I'm also just curious who you are watching right now, like legitimately curious, because it's so, so interesting when you know people are watching you. Oh, thank you, Dee, for saying that. Okay, we have one person that's confirmed. Audio is perfect. Thank you very much. Okay. Ooh, I didn't know I could do this. I guess my trackpad, I can make it bigger or smaller. What? I don't know how to do this yet. Cool. Look at this. The advantages of having a new computer. Thank you so much. So, what was I saying? Oh, about simplicity, I think. How I really am yearning for more simplicity. And I've been thinking a lot about how to really make that happen in a way that really feels right for me, if that makes sense. I'm reading a book right now called Soulful Simplicity, and it's by this wonderful writer whose newsletter I've been subscribed to for a while. And I've just started the book, so I'm like reading her backstory. But one of the reasons I've subscribed to her newsletter is because every time I open it up, I feel really happy and peaceful, relaxed. And I've been going through literally thousands of newsletters that I haven't read. So another, like a sidestep for context, I have a bunch of different email accounts, and each of them serve a different purpose. One of them is just for newsletters. So I use that to sign up for newsletters. And the reason being is that I can turn that account on and off. And so if I don't feel like reading newsletters, then I turn it off. When I'm ready to read newsletters, I turn it on. And usually once or twice a year, I'll go through thousands of unread newsletters and catch up. It's kind of nuts, but it's just, part of my ritual, I guess. I'm trying to shift things and build some different habits, but that's actually tends to be very common for me in all of my life, is that I like to just do things all at once versus doing little at a time. Actually, now that I say that out loud, that really is like a huge part of my life in so many ways. So, for example, I know it would be advantageous for me to track my income and outcome, my income and expenses and all my tax related stuff every month. And I've been trying for years to create that habit, but I haven't really tried that hard, to be honest. So I always leave it to the last minute, and really last minute. So much so that almost I think for the past many years, probably 5 years or so, I've been getting an extension with my taxes through my accountant. And I only work with her once a year. We get an extension, so my taxes aren't really complete till October. I have to still pay earlier, but it's just kind of funny that I just finished my taxes for last year and it's almost the end of 2018. That's very typically me. And I'm trying to shift that into a better habit. The same thing with a newsletter. I'd rather just read thousands of newsletters once or twice a year than just read them every day. Weird. I am like that with, what was my other example? Oh, I just like making changes. I'd rather just change overnight than change slowly. It's easier for me to do everything at once. When something is due, like a deadline, I wait to the last minute and get it all done at night versus little by little over time. It's I honestly don't fully know why I do that. Can anyone else relate to that? Or do you have any suggestions for shifting that? It's so interesting when you try to shift your behavior in general. Maybe it is for me that it feels better to just do things all in one fell swoop? Fell sweep? I don't know. But I like just making a change, just making a decision and shifting it. It is also very overwhelming to make big changes all at once. And I think that's part of where my overwhelm comes from. For example, another example is I really would like to tidy up my home. It's gotten just a little chaotic here, and it's so funny because I've only been home for a week from my East Coast trip, and I don't know how it got out of order because I had it in order before I left so that when I came home it would be in really good shape. But now I look around and I'm like, oh my gosh, clothes all over. My closet just feels like a mess, and I have dishes, on and on and on. And so I feel like the best way for me to get it all done is to just do it all at once and like spend a couple hours just organizing my place, versus it would be very advantageous if I was just continuously tidying up. But I just haven't had that mentality about things. And maybe that's where a lot of my overwhelm comes from, is I just resist and resist and resist. I put off things, I procrastinate, and then I only really get things done when I have to, when I'm up against a deadline. And it just doesn't feel like it serves me, because then I'm always thinking about wanting to do things and thinking about how I feel like I should be doing things. And that is an ongoing stress. Speaking of stress, this is very all over the place, but I'm just jumping from one thought to another. This is fascinating to me, and something that I feel like I need to give a lot of attention to is sleep. So I'm working on that in one way because I got a new Apple Watch. My other one broke. And let me just tell you as a side note, I love the Apple Watch so much. It is like one of my favorite tech tools in a while. And also, speaking of that, I'm working on a new series on the main Eco Vegan Gal channel called it's either going to be Tech Tuesday or Tech Thursday. I was thinking of starting it today since it's Tuesday, but I kind of don't want to make a video. Maybe I'll make a video about the watch. I don't know. So anyways, because of this new watch, I've been tracking my sleep. I used to do this with my old watch, but it wasn't the best technology. Now it's like really great for that. So every night I wear it to bed, and I wake up in the morning and see how I slept. And you can see like how long you were in REM sleep and deep sleep, and how long, if you were awake at any point. And it's really fascinating because I have this like app that shows me the ups and downs of my sleep in terms of what stages I'm in. And every single night there's like within a half an hour to an hour-ish, sometimes, I guess between half an hour to 2 hours maximum, there'll be a moment where I'm awake. And I also have a device. I have this little camera called a Wyze Cam, which I'm also going to talk about in my tech videos, that I use to turn on while I'm sleeping, because I have a tendency to sleepwalk. So I usually use that Wyze Cam to watch my dog Evie when I'm, look how cute she is, by the way. I watch her when I'm away from the house for a long time. She doesn't really do much, so it's not that exciting. So it's like a comfort thing. Like I can always check in on her and see how she's doing if I want to. But I also use it to track my sleep. And every morning when I wake up, I look at my sleep data, and I see what time my watch says I was awake. And lo and behold, if I go back and look at the footage from my camera, I can see what I did at that period of time. So last night, for example, I actually didn't finish watching it, but I just caught a quick glimpse of it. And here, I'll pull it up on this phone. I think I can do this simultaneously pretty effectively. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but I was awake. Like I literally sat up and turned on the light. And this is fascinating to me because I sleepwalk almost every single night. Or I have some sort of panic where I wake up. It's not always sleepwalking, I guess. Sometimes it's literally me walking. Sometimes it's just I stand up. Sometimes it's me jumping up in panic. And it's so consistent. And I just feel like it's very important for me to figure out why I'm doing that. So I'm pulling this up on the app right now if you want to see this. Some people are really creeped out by this. I find it very amusing because I've been doing it for so long. But then I start to wonder, like, what is going on in my brain where I panic? And the ongoing theme for me this week has been super fascinating. I have no idea where these thoughts are coming from. So I remember most of my sleepwalking, and I remember why. Oh, here it is. Here, I'll show you a moment of it. It's so bizarre. It's like kind of creepy. But that's me sitting up in the middle of the night. I'm just like sitting on, I know I just showed it to you really quickly because I'm like wearing short shorts or something. So don't want to be too revealing. But that's me sitting up. Oh my God. And I'm just sitting there on the edge of my bed for like 15, 30 seconds. The light's on and I'm just, this is like I had already fallen asleep. I vaguely remember this, but I don't remember what was going through my mind at this moment. I'm actually shocked watching this because I'm just sitting there. This is actually one of the more bizarre ones that I've done. Because let's see what happens here. Whoa. What the heck? I have to go back and watch this and try to analyze it more. That's so weird. My point in that, beyond that, it's weird in the sense that I don't know yet why I do that. I wake up, like I said, this is typically what happens, is I'll go to bed, and again, within that 30 minutes after falling asleep to 2 hours after falling asleep, somewhere in that time range, something will cause me to wake up, and usually I'm like afraid, and I'll either sit up, I'll yell, I'll get up and walk and try to do something in a panic, and it lasts like 30 seconds maybe. It's very quick, and I've been doing this a lot, and now that I'm tracking it more with my watch and the camera, it's like I'm really able to see what I'm doing, because when I wasn't tracking it, I would have memories of it. So last night, I have a very vague memory of doing this, but I don't have a strong enough memory to put it into context, and that's where it's really strange. Sometimes I'll remember the whole episode where I'll like be like, oh yeah, that's what I was thinking at that time, and that's why I did that. So I wanted to share with you and also let me read some live comments from Dee, who, thank you for commenting so much. How does it work wearing the device like that? So with the watch, it just it's not connected to the internet. So I turn off my internet every night. I turn off my phone. And this is on airplane mode, so it's not connected to anything at the time. It just is storing the data in the watch. And then when I wake up, I turn on my internet, I turn on my phone, and the phone talks to the watch, and the phone talk to each other. So the data basically goes to the phone or uploads into I don't know. I have to actually look and see exactly how that works. But somehow the data is sent to my phone, and then my phone like tracks all the data. And same thing with the camera. So the camera has a memory card in it, and so it's not connected to the internet. It's just recording, and then in the morning, I connect the phone and to the device, and that's how I can see the recordings. So, I wonder about the watch, like for EMF reasons. Like, it's not the greatest thing to have something on your wrist, and I would rather a different tracking system, but most that I've found have something to do with like the internet and electronics. So that's the only downside, is that wearing some device on your body for that long, I don't know if it's that great, but it's really helpful for me since I'm trying to figure out my sleep schedule. And then Dee says, who else is watching you while you sleep? That's too crazy. Do you mean like through the camera? Well, the camera's, again, it's not connected to the internet. So as far as I know, you can't access it unless it's connected to the internet. I've thought about that too, but like, what's funny is when it comes to, there's so much tracking. Like, I proactively look for ways to protect my data and all that stuff. But I feel like we're getting to a point where it can get just so extreme with concerns about people watching us. It's like, am I doing anything weird? Like, do I really care if someone's watching me while I sleep? Yeah, it sounds a little creepy, but I don't know. What are they gonna see? They're just literally gonna see me laying in bed sleeping and then having like my walking episode. Like, it's not like I'm doing anything. So with this camera, I'm very aware that it's on me, so I always turn it away from me. So right now it's turned facing the opposite direction, so you can't see anything during the day. If I'm ever like doing anything revealing or private, changing whatever, like if there's anything, I'm very aware. It's not like you can tap into it and see me changing my clothes or something. Like, the camera's either off or turned the opposite direction so that you can't see any private moments. So I guess like that's my way of keeping my privacy. And then again, when I'm sleeping, the camera is not connected to the internet, so I don't believe that there is a way to tap into it. And then the watch itself, I'm not clear what your question was. So D also said, my son at about age 7 sleptwalked to my mom's house on a little tree-lined trail. Wow. I've never done that, knock on wood. I hope I never do. I've walked, there's only 2 memories that I have of like severe sleepwalking, and one was in college. I walked to like the opposite side of my dormitory and woke up in like another bathroom, and I was like, what am I doing here? And I wasn't like using the bathroom, I was like in the bathroom just standing or sitting on something. That was weird. And then the other severe episode was that in one of my apartment buildings, I walked down the stairs, like inside. I walked out my door and down the stairs, and like realized it after I'd gone a flight or 2 down the stairs. That was weird. And then after that happened, I started putting things in front of my door, and like I created like a little barrier. But I've also created barriers before and they haven't stopped me. Like, a common thing that I've done here at this place is I've gone and like opened my door and like stood in my doorway. I've done that more times than I can count. If I had to guess, probably a couple times a year I've done that. Maybe more than that. I don't know, but I've definitely done that. Open the door. Like, that's like a weird, it's like my body is automatically doing something. It's very strange. So yeah, I mean, I coming back to what I was starting to say is like, I don't know why I sleepwalk. I don't know why I sat up in bed last night and just sat there for 30 seconds. Like, what I did want to tell you, I keep getting so off track with this because it's such an interesting, complex thing. I have been having this weird reoccurring fear several times this week. I feel like I should have been documenting it because it's happened at least 3 times, but maybe I feel like it's been happening like every single night since I got home from Massachusetts. I've been having this fear. I wake up in a panic thinking that I didn't take care of these animals. Like, I don't know where this is from. Logically, it makes absolutely no sense. I've had this, what keeps waking me up over and over again every night is thinking that I forgot to go take care of animals. And vaguely, it's like, I feel like I'm like, was hired to watch either a horse or a horse-like creature. Like, I don't know if it's like a donkey, like something like that. And then one other animal. And I don't know what the other animal is. It's like, you know how in your dreams, it's very fuzzy. And it's like when it's like this person combined with that person, and it's like a combination of things or places. Like, have you ever, this happens to me all the time. It's like I remember my dreams, but like the place is like multiple places combined into one new place in my dream. That's kind of what this reoccurring thing has been, where I'm afraid that I'm forgetting to look after these animals. And every night for the past, like I said, maybe it's been a week, I don't know, because I haven't tracked it, but I'll wake up and be like, oh my God, I forgot to feed the animals. And then I can't remember if it was this episode or another one recently, but fairly recently I had a panic that actually might have been at my parents' place, because there were two times at my parents' place where I woke up shouting at the top of my lungs, and I woke up my dad one night, and he was like, he actually wasn't that concerned, which is really funny because I asked him the next day. I'm like, did I wake you up? And he's like, yep. And then he just went back to bed. But I had this reoccurring dream of like the animals died because I didn't take it, or it was either an animal or a person. Like something died because of something I did. Like I left something alive in a cage or something, and I didn't check on it, or I didn't let it out, or it was like that thing has been in my head. I'm like, what the heck does that mean? And I maybe last night, I think what woke me up is I have been working so hard in my conscious brain to process this so that I don't keep having this reoccurring fear. And maybe last night when I sat up, it was like a combination of my like asleep unconscious brain and my conscious brain like talking to each other. And like maybe I was just sitting there trying to process the thought, if that makes sense. Like trying to remind myself that wasn't real. And if I were to guess, what happened last night is I was just sitting there trying to connect to reality. And that's really fascinating too, isn't it? That idea of being more aware of what's real and what's just a thought. And that actually ties into the theme of this video in a way, because I just feel like that's the ultimate battle for most of us, is the difference between what we think and how that makes us feel versus the reality. And I think most of our feelings are based on what we're thinking about a situation, not what's necessarily actually happening, right? So it's just all our interpretation, our perception, not whether or not something is true. And let me just read some live comments here, because the commenting has gotten really active today. So let's see here. Yeah, Dee, you were for a while the only one commenting, and now Kate's here. And Selly Face Jones. That sounds terrifying. I've never walked around. Here, I'm going to put this on the screen. Can you see that all? That sounds terrifying. I've never walked around, but I've definitely sat up and hung out on my couch and then back to bed. So strange. And Dee said, sounds like high anxiety. Yeah, it probably is, right? Like, what else would that be? But the weird thing about my sleepwalking and sleep talking is I don't have any logical connection to it. And during the day, I feel like I don't feel very anxious. If I do, it's very mild anxiety, but it's like feels very under control. Like I can talk myself out of it. And I think that's the difference, is that somehow it's manifesting in my sleep. And this has been the case for most of my life. It's like a lot of my darker feelings, like feelings of fear, anxiety, sadness, anger, all of those emotions typically come out when I'm sleeping. So I wonder, am I repressing them? But as I've gotten older, my I just have these ongoing awareness practices like meditation and yoga and just thinking things through and reading and process. I just feel like I'm always doing so much work around myself. So it doesn't make any logical sense why that's still happening in my sleep. And I really want to, I feel inspired just talking this out on video. I feel like it's so important for me to start to understand it more. And that's again why I'm tracking it with the night vision camera and with my watch, is just like seeing where the patterns are. Now I can understand the time in which it happens, and then waking up and remembering what I was panicking about. And I think just like maybe writing it down, journaling, studying, and then also keeping track of what I'm eating. I thought that this might shift when I changed my whole diet. So it's been a couple months now that I've been doing the plant-based keto diet. I've been intermittent fasting pretty well. I feel like I need to get back. I'm not as strict as I was in the beginning, but generally speaking, I've been really good about fasting. The only variable right now would be maybe caffeine. But I've been sleepwalking and sleep talking for most of my life, and there have been many periods of my life where I haven't had any caffeine or very, very minimal amounts of caffeine. I'm not having sugar right now, and I've been noticing a sensitivity to chocolate, so I've really cut back on chocolate. So sugar and chocolate are big stimulants. So the only stimulant I'm really having right now is caffeine. I don't really drink alcohol. I don't do drugs. So caffeine would be the only thing, but I don't think that's what it is. So it's just a big thing, and I think I need to just become really, really adamant about tracking it. Kate just asked, and Dee also said, that's a sad fear, like you feel so responsible for things. Yeah, it is, right? It is. I think that's basically what it's manifesting, and thank you for saying that, because hearing other people interpret your dreams is also like a really neat way to get clarity around them. So I think that is the reoccurring thing, is I'm afraid that I'm going to forget something, that I'm not doing something, that I'm neglecting. Like maybe it's a feeling of neglect. And it's weird that it manifests in the form of, like, lately it's been in the form of animals, which is, I don't know why. I really, the only thing is like a few weeks ago, my parents were out of town, and I looked after the animals while they were out of town, but I didn't like mess up at all. Like, so I don't even have like a recent memory of forgetting about animals, right? So I just logically don't know where that would be, but maybe it is just representing something else about being irresponsible. Like I have a big fear of being irresponsible. And then let's see, Kate said, have you ever tried adding supplements like L-theanine or theanine with coffee? Yeah, actually, I have. Yesterday the coffee I had was Four Sigmatics mushroom coffees. I'll have to look into specifics of what I've added in. And my coffee is really basic. I've been, it's just like pure organic coffee, coconut milk, and a sugar-free substitute. And I usually only have like a cup a day at max. Usually it's like a cup total of liquid, but the coffee is like half coffee, half coconut milk. So it's not that much. And then, yes, I have experimented with a lot of supplements. Ashwagandha, that has been in a number of products, and then tart cherry juice before bedtime. So I could add that in. So thank you for that recommendation. I will look in and see if those are in any of the supplements. I've been taking a few supplements. They're over in the other room, so I don't remember exactly what's in them. Actually, is the pamphlet here? No, I don't know where it went. But I do have I just recently received a bunch of supplements that might help with that. I just started taking in the past couple nights melatonin before bed because I got this formulation from Rescue Remedy, and I don't remember what else is in it, but I'm experimenting with that just to see how I feel. And the only downside is, here, I can, let me just grab it, I'll show you. So let's see what's in this. So I just got these samples and I was curious about them because I'm going on an international flight in a few weeks. And I thought it'd be good for me to have some melatonin just to reduce jet lag and to sleep better on the long flights that I'm taking. So what's in this is just melatonin. And unfortunately, there's a lot of sugar in this, like way too much. And this really drives me nuts, especially right now since I'm doing keto, because there's 4 grams of carbohydrates in 2 of these. Like, it's super high in sugar. And just talking about that, I'm like, why am I taking these? But I have them. I'm curious about them. So it's like a very temporary thing. But this has elderberry, white chestnut. I don't know what that does. Star of Bethlehem, rock rose, and impatience. So impatian. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. So it's like some of the Rescue Remedy formulations combined with melatonin and sugar. Like, it really is making me a little sick to my stomach thinking of how much sugar is in these guys. Relatively, like 2 of these are 4 grams of carbohydrates, and that's like how much I have for like a really good snack on my keto diet. Like 4 grams of carbohydrates has been like my measuring stick for whether or not it seems like a lot of carbs or not. So that's a lot. But my point being is I'm more focused on the melatonin properties of this, and it's pretty amazing because I haven't taken melatonin in a little while and not very regularly. So now I just kind of track like when I take the gummies and then when I start to feel tired. And these make me tired within like half an hour. And so I took them the last few nights. I slept super well. And like last night especially, I slept for 10 and a half hours. My alarm went off after like 8 or 9 hours. And I just like turned it off and kept sleeping. So I was just out cold, and I felt so rested and energized today. So that was really good. I will look into the others, Kate. Long story short. Cellaface Jones said, could it just be from deadlines or projects? No, thank you for bringing that up. I don't think so. I feel like I always have projects, always have deadlines. So yeah, I shouldn't say no to that. It's just that I don't have anything major, but I think in my head, I'm always concerned that I guess, yeah. So maybe the answer is actually yes to your question, because there is this underlying feeling of not doing enough, not getting things done fast enough, just feeling like my to-do list is never ending. I mean, literally yesterday I was looking at my to-do list and I was like, and I just feel like my to-do list is never ending. And that at the very beginning of this video, I was talking about how much I want to simplify things. And it's like, I feel like my life is pretty simple right now. Like, I don't feel like I'm doing that much, but I am doing a lot. So maybe that's what it is. Feeling like you're not taking care of everyone or everything. Yeah, I mean, I think that's an ongoing thing. So you're probably very, very accurate with that. It's just that I don't have any major deadlines at the moment. Everything's kind of like, get it done when you feel like it, or, I have plenty of time to get things done. So I think in my head, though, I'm afraid that somebody's going to be mad at me for not getting something done faster. So maybe that's what that is. Good point. Notice how I was very resistant to that at first. And then Dee said, maybe it's all part of detoxing from the things that you've mentioned. It could be, but again, I've been doing this. I've been sleepwalking and sleep talking for many, many years. And it's become just an ongoing joke. Literally, it's something I have to be super aware of whenever I spend the night with somebody, meaning like when I was in Maine, was that last week? I don't know, but I was in Maine sometime in the past 2 weeks visiting my oldest friend, actually, meaning like we've been friends the longest. My parents went to Lamaze class together. We've been friends our entire lives. We're 3 days apart. It's pretty nuts. So she's like a very, very long-term friend. And I was visiting her house, and her room was upstairs above mine, and I was staying in her guest room. We went to bed, and I was like getting ready for bed, and then I was like, oh no, I didn't tell her about my sleep talking. So I like went and like knocked on her door, and I was like, by the way, just so you know, if I like yell out something in the middle of the night, everything's probably okay. And it's something I have to say every time I sleep at somebody's house, I share a hotel room with somebody, like any type of situation where there's somebody who hasn't been around me sleeping, I have to tell them and warn them, because I'll very, very commonly yell out in the middle of the night or sleepwalk. And it can be very embarrassing. So my point being is, I don't think it's related to my new diet. And sadly, I don't think my diet has changed it. So that's the thing. I don't think it's diet related. And that was part of my resistance to the question of maybe it's about a project, because I've been doing this for so long. So long. I have memories throughout my entire life of sleepwalking and sleep talking. And I know for the past probably 10 years at least, it's been very, very, very common. So it's not about specific projects. It's not about the specific part of my diet. It's not about whether I'm exercising or not. Like that's why it's so confusing. And it might just be like a disorder. I mean, I actually almost did a sleep clinic, and I used the excuse that my insurance changed to not do it. But this is years and years ago. One of my last full-time jobs, I had really, really good insurance. So I decided to go to a sleep clinic to try to figure out my sleep issues. And the first consultation I got, they said that it might actually be a sleep disorder. But in hindsight, it's possible that that's just what a doctor says, who doesn't really think about it from a holistic point of view. So I would like to go down a very deep study and just try to figure out different perspectives and experiment more long term to see if I can figure out what's going on. And actually, that's funny, because the next comment I was going to read is from Kate, who says, you might want to try to go to sleep clinic. Yeah, I would actually really love to go to one, but I would like to find one that's not going to be all right, you've got this issue, let me give you a drug for it. I feel afraid of that outcome. So I'd more like to go to a sleep clinic and then tell me what they think is going on, and then help me find a holistic way to deal with it. Or maybe it's just a mental thing, right? Maybe I need to find a psychologist who specializes in sleep disorders. That would actually be kind of interesting. Now, what's fascinating is that, and maybe one of these nights I will find some footage that's not last night. The only reason I wouldn't share it with you is because my outfit was a little revealing. But I would maybe one of these nights I'll record it and show it on camera, how it's just the fascinating thing is what I do right before I wake up. So generally, last night, it's this switch where I'll just be sleeping, and then all of a sudden I'm jumping up out of bed like this, right? And it's so quick, and I've listened to see was there a sound? And generally there's no sound that causes it. And I've looked is there any external stimulus? So there's nothing that's causing me to jerk out of sleep, right? It has to be a mental thing. It has to be something going on. And the other thing is, I wonder, this is the reason why I wondered if I'd be prescribed a drug, is that our bodies are designed to when they go into deep sleep, they're designed to not be able to move, right? It's we have a paralysis that goes on. So if I look into, let's see, I'll pull up the sleep app right now and see what stage I was in right before I woke up. That's the thing that I'm most interested in with tracking on my watch, is what stage I was in before the sleepwalking happened. So according to this, it's a little slow. I was in a deep sleep stage. I actually hadn't gone into REM sleep yet before I woke up, which is interesting because in the past I thought I had. So that's what I need to start noticing. It was light sleep, deep sleep, and then awake. And then immediately right back into light sleep, then to a longer period of deep sleep, and then the rest of the night was normal. So maybe I just hadn't gone into a paralysis state yet, which I think is what happens when you're in REM sleep. So anyways, there's clearly just like something that causes me to think that the thoughts that I'm having while I'm sleeping are terrifying so much that I have to jump out of bed and do something about them. It's fascinating. Okay. And then, yeah, everyone was saying, Dee was saying ridiculous amounts of sugar in a supplement. Yeah, I know. It's very, very odd that they put so much sugar in here. I mean, the first, and especially from Rescue Remedy, this really surprised me. But the first ingredient is glucose syrup and the second one's sugar. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't think I could recommend this to people, but I'm taking it because I was just curious. So I was like, maybe I'll use these when I'm traveling, but it's right now I'm just trying them out to see how my body reacts to them, and then maybe I'll use them for my European flight and all that, and then get rid of the rest. I don't know. And then Cellophate Face, Kate said, you must be fun to sleep around. Oh yeah, like most of the people that I'm in the same room or house with, they actually are very amused with my sleep habits. Like they're not really mad. No one really ever gets mad at me. It's usually like people like to laugh about it. And sometimes I use a sleep recorder, like audio, to track it. And it's just fascinating the things that I'll say in my sleep. People love that stuff. So yeah, it's I would say fun is a good term. And then Cellophane says, have you taken an extended break, just a period to rest yourself? Yes and no. I've thought about that too. In hindsight, I wish that I was taking more of a break right now, like in this period of my life, because I'm in the middle right now of a 6-month project that is paying me very well and not requiring much work from me. So I'm halfway through it, and now I feel like at the halfway mark, I'm trying to gear up for my other projects so that once this one ends, I have other sources of income regularly. But I wish that I had taken the first 3 months of this project to do less, because this would have been a great time for it since my finances were very, very secure. I did just do the month-long trip on the East Coast, and for the most part, I had like 1 week of lots of traveling and work and all that stuff, and then a second week of kind of been just enjoying myself, and then the last 2 weeks were relatively restful, but yeah, it's actually very, very rare for me to just not do much. And I'm going to Europe. Like I said, I'm going to Greece for a week, and hopefully that week will be very, very low key. But it's still, even on low key days, like I'm probably going to be traveling around and doing touristy things, So in terms, like I do kind of yearn for some periods of time where I just don't do anything and I don't have any plans. It's just really hard for me because I think when you are running your own business, there just feels like there's always something that should be done, big or small. It's really tricky. It takes a lot of discipline to not do anything. So we'll see. We'll see when that makes sense for me next. I mean, I don't feel like I'm at a breaking point. I don't feel like I'm super overwhelmed or drained. It's just like low grade. And I don't know how much time it would take for me to really feel like I had a super restful period. Like I said, in hindsight, I wish that I had said, you know what? I have a 6-month project. That's all I'm going to do for 6 months, and just like put everything else on hold. That might have been a really wise decision, but I didn't do it. And it's not that I've run out of time. I still, I think, have 2 or 3 months left of the project. I think it's only 2 months now, but it just, this time of year gets really, really busy for me because there's so much going on with the holidays. So I don't know. I don't know to answer your question. When would be the next time for me to take a really great extended period break, and how long I would need. Because something that I kind of wish for, and I know I could make happen. You know, the beauty of working for yourself is like, I can take a break whenever I want because I'm my own boss. I just don't know how long of a break would really feel deeply healing for me. Almost like an eat, pray, love type of thing where like I just did nothing but self-care. It does sound really nice to do. Okay. Kate also said, what about hypnotherapy? Yeah, actually, I've never done that, and I would really like to do that. I've done acupuncture a bunch. I didn't feel like it really helped me. I found acupuncture soothing. You know what I did do that I could probably benefit from doing a lot more is a float tank. I've done a float tank twice, and I know the manager of a float tank in LA. The problem is it's like an hour from me, so it's like I'm spending 2 hours in the car. Like, that's not the most restful experience. But in that 1 hour that you're in the float tank, it's incredibly healing for your body, for your mind. Like, I think if I did that regularly, it'd be really wonderful. I have never done hypnotherapy, and I bet you that would be really beneficial. So thank you. I will certainly look into that. Kate also said the Greeks will teach you how to do nothing. It's definitely an art form to learn. Yes, I'm really excited because I'm going to Athens for like a day and a half or 2 days, and then I'm going to Crete. And I'm going in like the off season, sort of, because I'm going in November, and most of the like tourist season happens between the summer to end of October. So it'll be like, I'm anticipating a very, very slow time to be visiting, and that'll allow me to do pretty much nothing. And I'm staying at like an apartment style place. So I'll have like a kitchen and a living room, and just like looks like it's gonna be a nice view, and there's pools, and this, you know, it's just like I could probably really relax there, and that's what I'm hoping for. But I've been wanting to go to Greece for 15 years or more, so I also hope that I get to just see some really amazing parts of Greece. What else do we have here? Piano Key suggested DMT. You know, off the top of my head, I'm like, what's DMT again? Is that a drug? I honestly am going to look this up right now because I don't remember what DMT is. I know the term, but I have no idea, cannot remember. So let's see. My wonderfully slow phone will give me an answer. Or I could just ask Siri. Let's see. Hey Siri, what's DMT?
N-dimethyltryptamine is a tryptamine molecule which occurs in many plants and animals. That was from Wikipedia. Do you want me to keep reading?
No thanks. It's funny because my computer and my HomePod both have the Siri built in, and they said a powerful psychedelic drug. Yes, that's what I thought it was. Is that DM? I forget what it's typically in. But anyways, you know, drugs are something I'm very curious about, but not super into. So I don't know. I don't know if that would really get to the core of, but I love the images that came up when you look up DMT. It's like very psychedelic. Ayahuasca, right. That's what I was wondering, is an ayahuasca thing. I have actually thought about ayahuasca. I don't know if I would really do ayahuasca. I don't know. I would like to try it, but it does make me nervous. And I feel like if I'm going to do ayahuasca, I'd want to like do it in a very trusted situation. So I'm on the fence about it. I'm on the fence in the sense that I'm open to doing it, but it has to be the right situation, and I'm not motivated enough to like pursue it right now in my life. I think it's one of those things that if it happens, it'll like come to me like I'll get an opportunity to do it in like the perfect situation. Ayahuasca, for those of you who don't know, is like, I don't know if it's technically considered a drug, but it's a plant therapy that you consume as a drink. And typically you have to do it in a ceremony with a shaman. And it's very easy to do in Los Angeles, easy to do in Las Vegas. I know a ton of people. I could call up somebody right now or text somebody and be like, hey, can I do ayahuasca with you? And they'd say yes. Like, it's like where I live, very easy and accessible. But the problem is it feels like it's like a trendy therapy. I'd want to do it like a deep thing. I'm like, maybe going, I think it's in the Amazon or wherever, and like go and like really do it, not just like do it with a bunch of LA people, you know? Not to say that I'm sure there are places in LA or Vegas or wherever that are like pretty legitimate, all things considered, but it's like a risky thing is my point. So anyways, that's my comment on that. And Cellophane said, being self-employed blurs the lines between personal time and work and makes balance so difficult because there's anxiety underlying, anxiety of not having the next project set. So true. Sounds like you know what you're talking about and have experience with this, because big time, I can't agree more with that. And it's wonderful. I love running my own businesses. It's so satisfying. I felt like I was just either wired for it. Like my parents have their own businesses, my sister, my immediate family, all four of us run our own businesses. So it's just like very accepted in my family. I grew up with parents that were very entrepreneurial. And so it's just like feels right to me in so many ways. And it's very rewarding. And I'm always thinking of new projects. I'm always thinking of new ways I can innovate and help people. You know, it's just like, I love it so much. But the downside is exactly what Cellophane says about the lines being blurred. I mean, my personal life is so intertwined in so many ways because right now I'm creating content right now. And so this is my personal life that I'm talking about, but in a way, this is on a YouTube channel where I can make ad revenue and I can, there's so many other things that can come out of it. So it is completely intertwined, and that does make things tough at times. But the cool thing is that one of the best parts about this is that I can study my sleep and then turn that into content. So it's like I can basically use my whole, and I am doing this, my whole life has turned into, it's like my life has turned into a product, which is kind of weird to say, but I review things for a living. Like I review products and I review experiences. And so I get to have them both at the same time. But the downside is exactly what you just pointed out. And that can make it tough. Yes, and Rainbow's here. Thank you for being here live. Who also said, come over to New Zealand. I would love to. And I technically have an excuse to go to New Zealand soonish, but there's a lot of places that I want to travel right now, so I've got different priorities, to be honest. So I am going to Greece. I got to choose where I had a European opportunity next month for personal reasons, and Greece was the part of Europe that I picked, and I'm so excited to go. It actually gave me an opportunity to reflect on some of my resistances to travel. So it felt incredibly overwhelming to travel a far distance. It felt overwhelming from a time standpoint and a financial standpoint and logistics standpoint. I mean, there's a lot to think about for me, and that brought up a lot of anxiety. But I worked through it. I'm going to Greece. Super excited about it. And then the other places that are priorities for me is I want to go visit my friend who lives in Hawaii. She moved there in the past couple years, and I haven't visited. So that's really important to me to go visit her. And another thing that just feels, I think it's more of resistance to some of the expenses of it, but I'll figure that out. And then another friend of mine is in Vancouver until April, I think, and I really, really, really want to go up there. I've never been to Vancouver, and I just wanted to spend time with her while she's there. So those 3 trips have been priorities for me, and then I would really love to go to New Zealand. I've been to Australia once, but I've never been to New Zealand, so I will try to make that out there as soon as possible. Thank you for your encouragement. And, Piano Key about DMT, saying it's in your brain already. It's not MDMA or Molly, if that's what you were thinking. Yeah, it's funny. This is like where my ignorance of things like that come into play, where I blur the line between all of that together. So yeah, I think I was wondering. I was like, am I thinking of MDMA or thinking of Molly, or MDMA or DMT? It's confusing, right? Kate said she had to search for it too, and ayahuasca. Piano Key said, no pressure, but it helps with anxiety. It goes hand in hand with float tanks. And DMT comes out of your brain when you have near-death experiences or dreams. Ooh, that's interesting. And you can use it in a vape pen? Isn't it amazing we live in this time where, like, everything's so much more accessible? Piano Key says you would like to learn more about learning how to run your own business. That's a huge passion of mine, and I'm always working on new ways to help other people and support them with that. So I would recommend signing up for my newsletter. For everybody, please do, because I've been pouring so much work into my newsletter lately. I will link to it. If you go to my website, you can type in ecovegangal.com. And it'll bring you to the sign up page, and I will also link to it. I'll put it in the description of this video. Because that's like the best way to keep in the loop of everything that I'm working on. And then my podcast will have a lot of themes around business. So I'm so, so, so excited about this podcast. I'm insanely excited to be partnered with Jason Robel, who's one of my best friends. And man, we recorded 2 episodes, and I was like, I think we're on to something really, really fulfilling and helpful. And I think unique too. Like, the way that we're doing our podcast is very similar to these videos. So if you like this uncensored videos, think of my podcast as this plus a second person having conversation about life and business and all this stuff. So if you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get alerted when that comes out. And then you can also go to our website, which I can put in the description field. Jason and I have a website called wellevator.com, and that's our project. And part of the reason I'm bringing that up is because in addition to the podcast, we're working on all sorts of things to support people with business and life and all of that. And it's really, really exciting. All right. I think I'm going to wrap things up because I have a lot of things that I would like to accomplish today, and I'm trying to stay on track with yoga. It probably sounds like out of nowhere, but since I had been out of town for a month, I hadn't done yoga in over a month. I went back last night, felt great, but I'm noticing a lot of resistance to it, and part of my resistance, I would say the main resistance, is that it feels so hard to schedule. I'm supposed to take a class at 5, and I'd have to leave here at 4:30. I guess it's not that big of a deal. I should just go. But time feels like it's going by so fast because it's almost 3 o'clock, and I have not done anything off my to-do list. So I'm going to go do that. Thank you for watching, for participating, for commenting, for everything, being here. I feel so fulfilled doing this channel, and sometimes I just wish that this was the only thing I did. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what would happen if I just did this channel, because the other channel feels really daunting. I have a ton of content planned for my main Eco Vegan Gal channel, so I'm going to be doing content there no matter what, but it just feels so freeing to sit here and do live videos and chat with you and talk about things, and I love this so much. So who knows, maybe one day I would just do this all the time. I don't know. Anyways, until next time, I'm wishing you all the very best with your own lives, and I look forward to chatting with you. Remember to sign up for the newsletter. Just keep an eye out on other things that I'm working on, plus other things I'm recommended. Like this coming newsletter, I feel like is a really good one. Lots of events. Basically my newsletter has like things that I'm doing, things that other people are doing, product recommendations, events that are going on, inspiring quotes, like all sorts of topics that I think that you will appreciate. So check it out. I will see you very soon. And until next time, I just hope that you are doing really well in all aspects of your life. Know that I'm here for you. You can always reach out to me through comments, through direct message, through social media platforms, through email. I work really hard these days to get back to everyone. So I can almost guarantee that I will get back to you very, very soon. Okay. Bye for now.